And I will mute everybody for the first part of this meeting, and please make sure you unmute yourself later on. To begin with, welcome yourself as you are. No need for any auto-correction, no need for any adjustment or fine-tuning of anything. Simply be as you are. Whichever way the body is expressing itself, whatever thoughts, impressions are appearing to you, let it all be just as it is. To enjoy being without any necessity for any doing. The sound of traffic, the sensation of the body warmth, the warmth of the body, or the coolness. The sensation of your belly, your heartbeat. No need for any tomorrow or yesterday. Who cares? Maybe an image may arise about yourself. Just an image among so many others. There may be possibly contraction in the body. It's a neutral phenomenon, as so many others. There is no need for any identification. As presence, as beingness, There is no need to defend anything. No need to bring up a past image or prop up an image. Which is dead and gone. The reality of our experience, which is this aware presence, is not an event in time. There is no past to reality. There is no past to awareness. Whatever appears within awareness as awareness. But awareness does not appear on the highway of time. All identification is a falsehood. Even the most shiny, bright, grand identification is a falsehood. Because I meaning the reality that perceives, is formless, genderless, free from the limited realm of objectivity and objectification. The body may have a name, a gender, an age, for sure. But I does not refer to a body, does not refer to atoms and molecules and various senses and organs. I, in my direct experience, refers to awareness. And awareness is not made out of brain cells and brain waves and electromagnetic fields. Identification is always an identification with a segment. Some sort of object, which is a mental form. The freedom and the joy of being does not belong to some limited object, limited form. It belongs to you as awareness, as consciousness. So to know yourself directly in the directness of your experience, to know yourself as this transparency of being, not as a male form or female form, as this aware presence. To come to the absolute certainty that that is what I refers to. It refers to itself. I refers to I. I refers to consciousness. Not to a thought that appears or a feeling or a sensation or a storyline. My past trauma, my father, my grandfather, my mother. Not a storyline. I does not refer to a storyline. There may be a storyline, and actually there is a storyline to the body-mind. But there is no storyline to consciousness. Which appears as a universe, appears as everything, as every sensation, every perception, every mentation is the dance of Shiva, the appearance of the infinite invisible. Which appears out of itself to itself, from itself to itself. As consciousness, there are no fears and concerns and worries. Nothing at risk, nothing at stake, nothing outside of yourself as awareness. Nothing lacking, nothing too much. Fear of death is absent. Because all bodies that are born are bound to die. And that which is unborn neither knows birth nor death. Whatever you're protecting and defending is false. You wake up from the illusion of time to your reality, the eternity of consciousness. There may be old patterns within the body, within the mind, old echoes. We let them be because we're not trying to reach a perfection of the body or a perfection of the mind. Perfection belongs to that which is perfect, which is not relative, which is absolute. So whichever way the body mind appears, our hand is in God's hand. Our head is resting on God's pillow. We are embraced by the wisdom and our understanding that that which I am is impersonal, formless, universal, which is my reality and the reality of the world, body, mind. One reality. So, if you have any questions.
Hi, Magdi, it's Marga.
Hello, Marga.
Hi, I have a bit of an experiential question for you in the way things flow as one continues with this work. So during meditation and other times, I get, I don't know, zoomed way out, no problems. And it's almost like during today, my nose was itching. And there was a point I'm like, oh yeah, I can itch it. It's my nose. It's like it's funny, but it's true. It is really, I guess for me, there's always I guess you would say somatic connection, perhaps even like a body awareness of a shift. And I was curious that when the mind is sort of going while you're living life, it's a different sensation, perhaps just because you're not tuned in the same way. So I get curious as to how it flows when one is active, participating in motion, conversation, work.
Yes.
But yeah, so what is it like?
Yes, yes. So the meditations that we do, the exercises that we do, the experiments that we do, where we suspend the world, we suspend the body, we suspend the mind, we suspend the world because we put on hold our work or our tasks. We suspend the body in that we're not moving around or swimming or jogging, and you suspend the mind in that we invite the mind to sort of relax and gently, to sort of settle into presence. And this experiment is a sort of a simulation, and it serves to give us a taste of our natural state, our one could say our true nature, our true self, or consciousness. It gives us a taste of that, which sort of one could say is there, sort of covered up by the activities of in the world, activities of the mind and the activities of the body. But although this experiment ends after 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, it has an effect. It leaves a trace like when you visit a museum and you see some wonderful work of art by some of the great savants of the arts. After an hour, 2 hours, whatever, a few hours, you leave, but something remains. Something, there's an effect from this visit, from this experiment. So it's not that we are sort of bringing something new. We're not trying to experience something new. We're not bringing in, we're not drinking a bottle of tequila, or we're not inducing any new experience. Rather, we are getting a taste of our true nature. And our true nature is there, not just when we are conducting the experiment of quotes unquote meditation, but it's there also when there is this conversation going on right now. This conversation is taking place. There is understanding. There are words being spoken, words being heard. And yet at the same time, our true nature, this presence, this peace of being is there. And we get in time more and more sort of familiar with it. We start to sort of notice it more and more, because our skills of noticing our true nature develop through this process of. It's important to understand that there is no effort involved in that. It's more in noticing. And yes, it's true that at times, maybe often, we don't notice the stillness, we don't notice the peace of being, because we are habituated to jump from thought to thought to thought to thought, activity to activity to activity. But as we have often shared, don't forget that between a thought and another thought, there is a gap. Otherwise, it would be one thought. So although it seems that we're like going from thought to thought to thought, in fact, thought A must end. There is a gap before thought B arises, which is our true nature. That gap is our true nature. But beyond the gap which is there, which is our true nature, also the sound of this voice, these words are arising within awareness. They're not pushing awareness out of the way and saying, okay, awareness, consciousness, get out of the way. Now there is hearing or speaking or walking or cooking. No, it's not like that. It's the other way around, where awareness says, okay, I'm going to take on the form of cooking or driving or answering the phone or writing an email. It's important to understand that this peace, although sometimes there is activity and we are not, quotes unquote, noticing the peace, you don't need to notice it. It's there. At some point, it's like you're in a rose garden. When you first come to the rose garden, goodness, the smell of the roses, it's overwhelming. But when you live in the rose garden, or when you walking around the rose garden, you're no longer being astonished by the smell of the rose. But at the same time, you're savoring it as if you're not, but yet you are. So happiness is like that. Happiness is not a fantastic experience, although at times there are, peaks, like at the airport when you go and you're waiting for friends or family members you haven't seen in a while. You're so happy to see them. It's so exciting. But happiness is much more subtle than that. So be watchful not to make a contrast between your daily life, the activities in your daily life, work that you have to do, things you have to attend to, meetings you have to organized, and presence and being. Of course, it's helpful not to overburden your world, the body mind, not to find a balance in your life where, yes, there is activity, there are things to do to take care of food, shelter, and clothing, but at the same time, there is also, some space. And it's also important to understand that we already are this aware presence. It's not like a new discovery. It's our natural state of saying, hello, how are you doing? Please come in. Answering the phone, going for a walk, working on your schedule. It's consciousness is not discontinuous. There may be some discontinuity in thoughts, in activities, but that's okay. Like the clouds in the sky, they're all forms, all shapes. But the sky, which is the wide open space, is no discontinuity in the vastness. So be fluid, meaning notice old patterns of resistance whenever they arise in your work, in your life, in your thinking, in your feeling states, which are old patterns that are meant to protect the child, protect the fictitious me. But you are not the fictitious me. You're not the fictitious storyline that your parents imagine you to be, or your neighbors imagine you to be, or sometimes you imagine yourself to be. I'm speaking generically, not to you in particular. So those old patterns of defense that are arising, they arise out of love for love, this need to be recognized as love rather than to be recognized as a good girl or a bad girl or a all these supposedly good things. Look how wonderful she dances. So these are like protective tendencies that are more like a call for love, a calling for love. But the love is here, is there, is right there. We are the love, right? I mean, we are the love. And we're available as love. We're available. Of course, there is also intelligence and wisdom that tells us no to this, yes to that. Obviously, because in the world, body, mind, there are limitations to. There are some guidelines. But in spite of that, the love is there, you see. Even when we say no, it's not out of a negative emotion. We sometimes say no out of intelligence. And life is, there is a sense of play in life which we can bring into life.
I don't want to interrupt. I think you helped me see that, of course, there's the playfulness and the awareness of presence in motion. But when I lose that sensation or flow, it is coming from perceiving stimulus outside as a reflection of a created self, like there's a filter that's kind of saying it means something. It is defensive. Thank you. I can see that. It is like it can be very subtle, but as stimulus comes in, the self is always kind of saying, what does it mean?
Right. And it makes sense because there are some stimulus that are not welcome, you know. We don't welcome somebody coming to break into our house, you know. So there is a difference between you know, caution and precaution and fear or worry. So there is an intelligence that basically sometimes draws a line, but it's practical. It's not psychological. It's not about the personal self, me as a separate self, me as a person, me as somebody in time. It is a more direct, more. There's a certain situation that requires a certain action, and it's the action, which may be defensive, arises out of the data that's available to you in that moment without this me in time. You know, it's like, it's more, so there's a distinction there, and you can sense it within your body mind, in that when you are acting from a situation that requires you to say no and to defend or to close a door, there isn't an echo. But there might be an echo, oh, why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. In this case, the echo is referring to I as the psychological self, this personal self. Oh, I was a bad woman, I was a bad girl, I was a bad, you know. So that would be the falsehood. But there is no falsehood in telling somebody who's coming to break into your door, say, hey, listen, get out of here. In fact, whatever. So when there is an echo down the lane within your body mind, that's when you need to sort of notice that you are bringing in the false me and the storyline about me and him and her, blah, blah, blah. So you are the barometer, you are the you can sense it within yourself. And it's important when you notice that you're spinning into the me story, she and him and her and blah, blah. When you notice that, not to add on to it judgment. Oh my God, I shouldn't have done this. Oh, I'm not getting it. No. Sort of notice, oh, yeah, that's what's happening. Here's the spin, you see. And you recognize it to be the false path, the false direction. Although thought may be trying to convince you, no, that's the right direction, you know. Yeah, she was, he was, they were. You have to develop that sensitivity within you that that's the wrong direction, and to say, okay, that's the wrong direction. So, you know what, I'm not going there. I can stay as I am. Not as I am, meaning feeling good and groovy. We don't know. As I am, we don't know. This is why in the meditation we say, welcome your experience as it is. As it is. We don't know. We don't know. I don't know. We don't know. And so we remain not knowing, because not knowing is truth. Knowing is a limitation.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay, Marga. Any questions?
Hi, Magda. This is Patrick speaking.
Hello, Patrick.
Hi. Good to see you today.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
I'm not sure that I have a question so much as things that I am learning recently. I went to a Buddhist temple. I've had, like I said, the last time we met about 2 years ago, I had a very strong experience, and my upbringing was so dysfunctional that I was trained and taught never to trust my instincts, or not to trust my first. In other words, the first thing you come up with is the rough draft. You need to pull it apart and make a sound decision based on evidence and all that stuff. And so I was at this Buddhist temple for an hour and a half. I felt blissful. I was in the same position, which is hard for me usually. I'm always readjusting my position, and my back didn't bother me, which normally would have been the case in a hard upright chair like that. And it was a really overwhelmingly beautiful experience. And listening to the other congregation doing their chanting, all I could do was smile and feel the beauty of the unison of the voices. And I'm struggling isn't quite the right word, but I'm learning to separate the false self, or the fictional self, from my true self. And I fall short most often when it comes to personal relationships with my wife and my family, because I was the youngest and I was always totally dismissed. My ideas were dismissed. And so I often catch my fictional self wanting to benefit from this realization that somehow I will be seen as someone of value because of this. And I guess if there's a question here, one of the prayers I said to myself in this Buddhist temple was to stay on the step you're at now, and not try to project into the future, and not try to compare myself to you or other spiritual teachers and say, well, if I was really there, I would behave more like them, or that sort of thing. So I guess what I'm saying, what I'm asking is, if is it enough just to recognize these patterns, and is this really the process that you go through, is kind of seeing the dysfunction of the conditioned self, and starting to parse out which is false and which is unreal.
Mm-hmm. So as a way of speaking, the spiritual path is about self-knowledge. And that which is quotes unquote seeking self-knowledge is the self itself. It is sort of a paradox. How could the self, which is already itself, be seeking self-knowledge? It already is itself, so it should know itself as by the very fact that it is itself. Which leads us to the contemplation or the understanding that the spiritual path is about discernment between, quotes unquote, the imaginary self, the imaginary me, and the self. What is it? Who is it? What is it that does this discernment? It can only be the self that does the discernment, not the imaginary self that does the discernment. But given that the self already is itself, the discernment amounts to simply perceiving or understanding that everything, whatever it is, that appears to it, does not define it, does not define it. Like you look out onto an oak tree, a beautiful oak tree, huge, majestic oak tree. Yes, beautiful. There is oneness in between you and the oak tree. But yet the oak tree does not define you. You are not defined by the oak tree. You can perceive all sorts of weather, all sorts of situations, all sorts of events, all sorts of thoughts, feelings, sensation, images, stories, histories, whatever. None of them define you. By define you, what do I mean? I mean, obviously they're appearing to you. A thought appears to you. This perception right now is appearing to you. It's appearing to you in complete intimacy, meaning you're experiencing this experience, quote unquote, internally. It's not out there somewhere. Although you're obviously experiencing this experience very intimately, it does not define you, because next second, that not even the next second, less than the next second, that perception is gone, replaced by another perception, then another perception, with a thought, an image, a sensation. So whatever images appear to you, thoughts appear to you about me, or I will be like this person, or I'll be like that person, I am like this, I am like that, or feeling, I feel like this, I feel. All of this is just movie meaning appearances or sensations, experiences, whichever way you want to speak it. The key thing is that they do not define you. There's only one thing that defines you, is your very self. The self is already itself. And you look in your experience and say, well, what is he talking about? What am I talking about? What is myself? You ask yourself, what am I? Not what I'm going to discover what I am after an hour of meditation or a Zen session or whatever practice I'm doing. No, what am I now? What am I right now? And the answer should be there. Should be there to you. You, the person who's asking the question. So what am I? Okay, I am not anything that's appearing to me. I am not these glasses. I am not this voice. I am not these atoms and molecules and photons that are dancing. I am not the body heat which I'm sensing. But I am the reality that perceives. I am the reality that is. I know that via simply asking myself, am I? Yes, I am. Am I aware? Yes, I am aware. I don't need to ask anybody. I don't need to think about it, to ask my priest, my rabbi, my mother, my neighbor, my guru. I don't need to. It is available to me. In this moment, it is available for the self to know itself. It's not hidden. If it was hidden, hiding myself from myself. The self is never hidden. It's never hidden. So we say, okay, well, what am I? Here it is, this aware presence. I mean, we use the word aware presence. Obviously, I'm not referring to the words, like from Krishnamurti used to say, the map is not a territory. I use words, of course, words are limited, but we use words. So what? Because we know how to navigate with words. We know that what the words are referring to. They're referring to your direct experience. Your direct experience right now is not an experience of Patrick. There's no problem with Patrick, the name of the body, that your mom and dad loved to name Patrick, and they named their baby boy Patrick. Perfect. Because they named this body, this baby body, Patrick, and you went along. You say, okay, I'm okay with Patrick. I'll go along with Patrick. If I decide to, I can change the name later. But you is not Patrick. You experience Patrick. Like right now, you're experiencing Magdi / Patrick. Sort of you're experiencing. But that which experiences, that which perceives, that which is that which you are. And there is no way to describe it or speak about it. You cannot say it's here, it's there, it's tall, it's short, it's coming, it's going, there's no description to that which is beyond description, to that which is not a perception. You can describe a perception. Oh, beautiful sunset, rainy day, beautiful music, etc. You can qualify a perception, but you cannot qualify that which perceives the reality of the perception. That's why I use the word reality often. I share the word reality or truth, because you can't grab it. You can't say, oh, well, it's a Chinese truth, or it's a Chinese reality, or it's there are no descriptive to reality outside of that is absolute. It's irrespective of time and space. time and space appeared to you. Patrick, the 10-year-old boy, appeared to you. It appeared to you. Patrick of yesterday appeared to you. The sensation that appeared to you, meaning the bodily sensation, which we refer to as Patrick, of about 5 minutes ago, appeared to you. The you is that one I, the same I that perceives and that hears and that speaks. Is the same I, the same consciousness. There aren't two consciousnesses. It's not like there's my consciousness and your consciousness. No, of course there is my body, your body, whatever, older, taller, shorter, fatter, skinnier, happy, whatever, hungry body, not hungry body. It's okay. It's a no-brainer. But not to confuse ourselves with anything that appears to us, even though it may be very convincing as a thought or as a feeling. Sometimes it's very convincing, very convincing. Damn, if only I was like this and like that. He's like this, she's like that. It feels very convincing. But what is a feeling? It's an appearance that's appearing to you. It is an appearance that's appearing to you. A feeling is a bodily sensation with a me story, with a thought.
I guess as a follow-up, I think what I'm getting at here is that during that hour and a half in the Buddhist temple, I did feel like I was one with everything. It's when I go out into the world, because I feel like there's a certain amount of this spiritual discovery that requires courage. But I often get the courage to go deeper into spirituality confused with the courage to let's say write. I like writing as an outlet. Mm-hmm. But when I write, I often get caught up in trying to make Patrick look good through that writing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Rather than, and I can't, yes. And therefore I'm very hesitant to go into writing because I'm afraid it's going to take me away from the spiritual path and back into the egoic path.
Sure. And it will. If your writing is about making Patrick look good, then yes, it is an egoic path that you want to take a look at. I mean, you may enjoy writing, and of course, we also enjoy sharing. We enjoy sharing, and we enjoy to improve our skills. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely, you work on it. You read other writings, and you whatever the process is, which has to do with joy, sharing, improving, creating. It's beautiful. But when you're talking about making Patrick look good, now you are going into the imaginary me. No, it's about sharing, about love, about creativity. That's beautiful.
But I mean, anybody that can write well looks good to me. I mean, I guess that's what I'm saying is that just by writing itself, like, I don't know how to quite say it, but I'm not specifically trying to make Patrick look good, but the ego always slips in and tries to hijack the writing, I guess is what I'm saying. And writing is just an example. I'm talking about how do I take this newly found knowledge and find a new way of expressing Patrick in the world, because Patrick has historically been a loser, a dysfunctional mess, basically. And so and again, I most of the time I feel like I'm in the right place on my journey right now, but other times I feel like I'm using this as a way to postpone the ultimate truth.
Which is?
That Patrick doesn't exist. That he's a fiction of my imagination.
You know, Patrick is not an accident. Patrick was presented to you to navigate. As a gift, as a homework, whichever way you want to look at it, but Patrick has been presented to you. So you have a certain work to do with Patrick. So Patrick that has been, I don't know, a failure, a mess, whatever you said, you know, I'm sorry if I don't remember really well exactly what you said, but that Patrick that's appeared to you, obviously I'm not denying that, nor are we denying that it's appeared to you. Where is that Patrick right now? There is a new, fresh Patrick at this moment. So yes, there was a Patrick, a mess, whatever, a Magdi, a mess. Yes. But why do you want to take the skeletons out of the closet? Who cares? Yes, there was Magdi the bully, Magdi the abuser, Magdi the abused, you know, all of it. I mean, that's, who knows, and who cares? It's, yes, not to deny that. It's a memory. It's a memory. But what is Patrick right now? You have, Patrick is being presented to you right now. Freshly. Not the story, not the historic Patrick. I mean, of course, you're free to do the historic Patrick and watch the same movie over and over. After a while, we watch a movie 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and we get sick of it, right? I mean, so, but you're free to do that. But I'm saying, I don't think that's really what interests you. You're not interested in reruns. So how am I with Patrick right now? Well, I don't know. Who is Patrick right now? What is Magdi right now? Here I am. I'm looking right now. What is Patrick right now? Am I going to go into the past and say, oh, yeah, here is Magdi, the poor child, and he did this, and his mom, and his dad? No. I mean, I could do that, of course, and I've done that for many years. Please don't misunderstand me. I've done it for many years, repeating the stories, and my father, blah, 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 blah. And after a while, I realized, damn, it's like a broken record. You're like, there's just these wheels, they're like sort of spinning, and this spinning and that spinning. But it has nothing to do with this fresh Patrick, this fresh Magdi, this fresh moment, this fresh presence. You see? And in the freshness of this moment, which is the consciousness, Patrick is a complete unknown. So we discover in this moment, there is a conversation going on. Patrick brings in the past, blah, 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 blah. Magdi brings in the past, blah, 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 blah. All I did is mental masturbation. Wow, great. Oh, that was great. Oh, wow, yeah. Patrick really liked my stories. Wow, All right, let me go home now. One more rerun. No. That's not joyful. So what is joyful in your life? In this moment, it's always this moment. Joyful. What is it that's joyful for you? You want to write? Damn right all you want to write. Is it joyful for you to want to, I hope they love it, I hope they love it, I hope they love it? If it's joyful, which I doubt it. Doesn't sound joyful to me. Do it. But if it's not joyful, why do it? Why do it? Yeah, I'm going to write. I feel like writing. I'm going to write whatever I want to write. I'm going to improve it, not improve it. I post it somewhere, whatever. Nobody likes it. Nobody wrote me and told me, wow, that was great. You know? Oh, now I'm depressed, feeling awful. Well, yeah, I could play this game. That I will be happy when they love it. I will be happy when I'm successful. I'll be happy when. I will be happy if. I will be happy ... No, no. Happiness, which is God's celebration within our body mind, cannot be dependent on any condition. At least that's how I see it. So I say, no, no happiness if or when. Okay, fine. I'm a little bit disappointed. I was hoping some people will contact me and say, hey, that was great. You know, but okay, yeah, I laugh at it. I laugh at myself. And here I am. I sit out and watching the sunset or watching a movie or listening to music or talking with Tara, you know. Not to live in the past, not to live in time, you see?
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much.
We are funny sometimes.
Follow the joy. That's all it is. Just follow the joy. What brings you joy?
Right. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. This is beautiful. We come together, we talk about this. It's so beautiful.
Thank
Cool.
you so much.
All right, Patrick. Yes. Any questions? Hello, Holger.
Hello, Magdi. I have nothing specific on my mind. I just wanted to say thank you. And it's so beautiful to hear you and just delicious. Very nice.
Any questions? Okay, well, very lovely to be with you all. Thank you all. Esther, and Patrick, hey Patrick, and Holger, and Kelly, hey Kelly, Marga, Frank, hey Frank, Richard, hello Holly, Grace, Zoe, hi Zoe, George, thank you George, and John. Thank you all. Very lovely.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you, Magdi.